Let's go. All right, everybody, it is 11 o'clock, and you have tuned in to the October 9th Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting in Zoom. My name is Monty Sokup.
Are you hot? I mean, I can hear you, but
Yeah, I think I'm hot. My name is Monty Sokup. I'm the current chair. We're going to have Leah read kind of the rules of engagement here for the meeting, and then I'll take roll and we'll get right underway because we have a lot on the agenda today and a lot of important material to cover. So I want to try to keep us on track. So if I'm pushy, please forgive me in advance. Thank you. Leah?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I have a few housekeeping items for this hybrid meeting. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. Please remember to mute yourself during the meeting when you are not speaking. The chat function for this public meeting is disabled. All chats will go directly to me. Unless you are participating during the meeting, please turn your video off. This allows the active meeting participants to be seen on screen. You will still be able to hear the meeting. When you are participating, please turn your video on. If you have any trouble, you can send me a chat. The city reserves the right to mute people or turn individual videos off to minimize distractions during the meeting. And now I'll make a few notes on public comment. When the chair calls for public comment, individuals attending in person should approach the podium to indicate they wish to speak. The podium can be raised or lowered, and we encourage you to use this feature to ensure that your comments are heard. Individuals participating via Zoom should use the raised hand function to indicate they wish to speak. Please leave your virtual hand raised until you are called on. Individuals will be called on in the order they appear in the meeting host screen. Please state your name before speaking. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Thank you, and now I'll turn the meeting back over to Mr. Sukup.
Thank you, Leah. I'm going to take the roll. If you're here, please respond. Karen Willie. Sarah Waters.
Here.
Nicholas Ward. Phil Englehart.
Here.
Mark Bueller.
here.
Christina Gentry.
Here.
Erica Zimmerman.
Here.
Dana Ortiz. Shannon Oury.
Here.
Thomas Howe.
Here.
Trent Santee. Monty Sokup here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 members present, which would be a quorum. So we will continue on with the meeting. I wanted to note that we have 2, before we open it for public comment in person or online, we have 2 written public comments. One basically covered a desire for permanently affordable projects in this city as opposed to shorter term affordability. And the other one talked about the need for additional services, additional accessibility of affordable housing in this community, and the kinds of services that are needed by those needing that assistance. Yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
I know in the first one, he asked us to make a statement regarding permanence and affordability. He asked for our board to make to have that as a part of our remit. Is there a point when we discuss that? What do we do about public request?
I guess we could put that on a future agenda item at this point. I think we all have talked about the need for permanent versus, shorter term. We've all talked to that, and our goals certainly point that direction towards permanently. I mean, we have some specifically that talk about permanent affordable housing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that it's not unaddressed, but we can talk about that.
And what he is asking for is a statement from this board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wants us all to promise to do that.
Yeah, and I don't
And
think
I'm
we
not
can do that.
gonna
probably.
do that.
That's another discussion to have. I think our process is to evaluate projects on their merit as they come in.
Okay.
And if we need to add that to another agenda item or a workshop, I think we should do that to talk about that.
Thank you.
Okay?
I noticed,
Okay.
I noticed he tempted to come into the meeting. I don't know anything about this, but I had an admit and view at the bottom of my screen.
And so you can look at participants and see who is in?
Well, anyway, I don't know if now's the time
see,
to hear
Steve.
that or.
Yeah, so I'm going to, at this point, since we talked about the 2 written comments, we're going to open it up to public comment. So if there's anybody in the room that'd like to make public comment, anybody? No one in the room. Is there anyone online that would like to make public comment? Okay, I don't see anyone online raising their hand. I'd also like to note that Dana Ortiz joined us, so I'm going to count her as present. Anybody, did I miss anybody? Okay, so that makes us 9 members. Okay, so the next item would be to approve the minutes, the previous minutes. So I'd open the floor for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the roll in the same order that I called earlier. Sarah Waters,
Approve.
Phil Englehart,
Yeah, yes, approve.
Mark Bueller,
Aye.
Christina Gentry,
Yes.
Erica Zimmerman,
Aye.
Dana Ortiz,
Approve.
Shannon Oury,
Approve.
Thomas Howe,
Approve.
Monty Sokup, approve. That motion passes 9-0. At this time, we're already 1 minute over our schedule, so I am going to ask for a motion to extend the meeting 15 minutes. We currently have scheduled time to go till about 1:10. So I'd ask for a motion to extend the meeting 15 minutes to get through everything, and then we'll go on.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I would add that if you have to leave early, for some reason can't stay, you can do that and then view the discussion online at a later time. No other discussion. I'm going to call the roll. Sarah Waters,
Yes.
Phil Englehart,
Yes.
Mark Bueller,
Yes.
Christina Gentry,
Yes.
Erica Zimmerman,
Yes.
Dana Ortiz,
Yes.
Shannon Oury,
Yes.
Thomas Howe,
Yep.
Monty Sokup, yes. Motion passes 9-0. We'll run till 1:15 today. Thank you. Okay. We are ready to receive presentations from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund applicants. I have a couple of comments. We have a couple people that will need to recuse themselves. I believe that is Shannon and Dana. Anyone else, Leah, at this point?
Not that I'm seeing. No.
Okay, so a couple other notes. Since we're tight on time, I would ask the board members to ask, if they have a question, to ask a single question, and then let other board members ask a question. So you get one shot. If we get around everybody, we still have time, you'll get a second shot, but I just don't want, any single line of questioning to dominate the whole conversation. And if we can't get our questions answered, you can email your questions to Leah by the end of the day tomorrow if you have additional questions, and then Leah will reach out to the applicants and get answers to the questions and send them back to the entire group. So that would help if you have following questions or you don't get a shot, okay? All right, all applicants.
Dana has her hand raised.
Oh, shoot, I am terrible at that. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Can I have a clarification on recusing? We can just go off camera and still listen, correct? We just can't ask questions and such?
That'd be correct.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be correct. Thank you, Dana. To the applicants, we're going to run the timer at 15 minutes. You're welcome to we'd love to see a presentation of whatever you're doing or whatever you want to talk about. You have 15 minutes total for us to ask questions and for you to do presentation. I'm going to be really stickler and we're going to keep it moving and we're going to run the clock. So you'll be able to see how much time there is. And I'm not trying to be mean, but we have 7 or 8 of these to get through today, and we need to see all of them to keep on track. So I'm going to quit talking, and I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Matthew Falk with Burt Nash.
Thank you, Affordable Housing Advisory Board. I'm Matthew Falk. I'm the Director of Housing with the Burt Nash Community Mental Health Center. I have a little presentation that I will pull up here. We've applied for funding to help assist with our supportive and rehabilitative permanent housing project. Some updates to provide you about this project. We have gained the site, so we purchased the site and just closed on it 2 weeks ago. So we now own that property. This is at 2222 West 6th Street and 530 Rockledge Drive. They're both contiguous, where the old Ramada Inn used to be. This is a preliminary site plan that you're seeing here. This is very preliminary because we just acquired the site. We haven't designed it yet. The project is to build 24 permanent supportive housing units. Those units will be permanently dedicated to affordable housing. They'll be income-based, 30% of the area median income or lower, and we are going to require those individuals to qualify for a HUD or LDCHA voucher, and we will be asking them to utilize that voucher when they live there. That's half of the building. The other half of the building will be office space for Burt Nash supportive services staff. Those are community-based teams who actually provide supportive services to folks like the individuals who will be residing in this building. There's a lot of teams that do that, and all the teams who provide those community-based services will be located in that building as well. We have a timeline that we've kind of modified. I think that's probably the next best thing to talk about. We acquired the site. The next 6 months, we're going to finalize the designs of the building. Sometime in 2024, summer of 2024, we'll do our permitting, and our hope is to break ground by the end of 2024 with a projected, hopefully, completion date by end of 2025, early 2026. So that's kind of our timeline now. Again, this is permanent supportive housing, permanently dedicated for a 30% AMI. Any questions?
Looking online here, I have a question. Is it possible to break out the cost of the project that are really the affordable housing piece as opposed to what will be administrative staff? And I mean, because I think this group really looking, in my opinion, units on the ground, cost per unit is one of the things, and your cost per unit right now looks way out of whack.
Yeah. So we do have that. It's ranging between $150,000 to $200,000 per unit. That's kind of the projection we have currently. That as we know, the market's changing and is a little vacillates. So that's kind of what we're looking at per unit.
Okay. Other questions? Looking online here. Questions? Okay. Would you like to say more? You have 11 minutes, and I think we have our questions. You must have written a really good proposal.
Right, so
answered all the questions.
We do want to reiterate that this is a significant component of the supportive housing plank of the homeless and housing plan that is going to be coming out and will become before the city and county commissions. In the Corporation for Supportive Housing needs assessment that was conducted last year, they identified around 10 units dedicated for mental health, permanent supportive housing. This clearly exceeds that. And there's, of course, a larger number that's identified for folks who are homeless. So our target population is for homeless as well. So we're kind of ticking off some of those boxes in those plans as we work in part and parcel with our wider community service providers to, tackle that. That is an aspirational plan, but we as an agency see our niche in permanent supportive housing as a primary supportive housing provider. That's what community mental health services do. That's what they're built to do for folks with mental health issues. That's kind of our wheelhouse. So we're kind of taking ownership of that. We do see this as a revenue generating project, and we are committed to utilizing those rental revenues to fund or seed funds to continue building permanent supportive housing projects. So this is part and parcel to our long-term plan to build a sustainable permanent supportive housing development model. Our goal is to be able to self-sustain housing development as an agency, and as we move forward through that process, to rely less and less and less on outside funding to pay for our projects. This is the first major piece of that effort, and we do, our pro forma does show that we're going to net 80 to 100,000 a year, and we will dedicate 100% of that to housing development. We work with a lot of people for whom housing is their primary crisis, and it is the primary roadblock to them being successful in getting treatment and gaining traction in their mental health care. And so we want, our plan, our vision is to situate ourselves as an agency to be able to include housing as a component of treatment. So when someone comes to us with a severe mental health issue and they don't have a place to live, at some time in the future, we would like to be able to say, we can provide you a place to live while you get on your feet and while we provide care.
All right. One last shot at questions here.
I could ask one or two,
Yeah, just,
since we have extra time. I know that it's difficult to say in the conceptual stage, but if you were to hazard a guess, where would you say the $450K that you're asking for would actually go? If I drove by or walked by, what would I see for $450,000?
Well, I think first things first, site development, right? But another approach that we could take is that we will apply it to the cost of individual units. So some of our other funders that we're asking for dollars from, for example, the state home ARP dollars, they're wanting to know that, like how much per unit these dollars will be spent on. So that's, I mean, there's a few ways we can approach it. I guess I wouldn't say I would lock ourselves into any, and I would ask your guidance on what you would prefer. So if you prefer that we spend your money on a specific component of the project, then that's what we'll do.
all right. All right. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. And thanks again for submitting. All right, next on the list, and you gave us, 6 minutes back.
Bonus minutes.
Okay, the next is the Douglas County Housing Stabilization Collaborative, Emergency Rental Utilities Assistance, and I believe we have Gabby Sprague.
She's online.
Gabby, you have 15 minutes.
Hi, board members. I don't know if I can share my screen. It looks like I can. Give me 1 second here. All right. How's that looking for folks? Okay, great. Yeah, so my name's Gabby Sprague. I'm the Housing and Human Services Program Manager for Douglas County. I'm going to be talking about the Housing Stabilization Collaborative, particularly the Rent Utility Assistance Program portion of the collaborative today. I want to speak a little bit to the program model to kind of demystify that a little bit. We have Tier 1 assistance, which is 100% of the funding that we're using right now is under this model. It's an online application. Lotteries occur twice a month. There's an annual cap of assistance per household at $1,500 plus $100 for each dependent every year. And a household can be selected through the lottery process as many times as it takes to reach that cap. In addition to the rent utility assistance, there is a small amount of supportive services that we're looking to build out, which I'll speak to a little bit later, where we do constant contact during the duration of assistance. The month following, we do a follow-up phone call to hopefully connect the household to any additional resources they have, and a 6-month phone call to also do the same thing. We're also looking to build out our data collection processes. You can see a little bit of that initial work there with some of that data. Probably of note is of 214 in the month following calls, 205 answered that they were still housed and have a lease. This is kind of a work in progress as we kind of develop more into doing supportive services rather than emergency assistance only. Tier 2 assistance is something that we're looking to build out with federal funding sources and also potentially local funding sources. Part of the ask made to AHAB was to try this Tier 2 amount of assistance out. This would be only available to 30% AMI or below, and it would be short-term and medium-term assistance. These are HUD definitions, and you could see the terms of assistance there. This would be at minimum monthly housing visits and also establishing a housing stability plan. Oftentimes when you're first initially getting in contact with the household, the touch points would be a lot more frequent than just a monthly housing visit, and we recognize that and we're looking to build that into the program. Another benefit of doing the Tier 2 assistance is coordination with the Continuum of Care, the Kansas Homeless Coalition, Kansas Statewide Homeless Coalition, who is runs the coordinated entry system, which is how we can use federal funding for rental assistance in our community. And we're looking to develop this programming further, particularly in Q1 of 2024. Douglas County is partnering with the Corporation for Supportive Housing to do two two-day long trainings to bring all community members together or community organizations that do supportive services to develop a sort of common understanding of what best practices are for supportive services. And whatever comes out of those trainings is what's going to be used to develop more of this Tier 2 amount of programming. I wanted to provide a short little shout out, I guess, to Douglas County IT staff. They recently created an HSC assistance tool for us. This is going to greatly improve our ability to keep track of households and keep track of data. Our data is pretty good right now, but it can always get better, and we're looking to go after those federal funding sources that require a lot of administrative requirements. And we're looking to use this tool to hopefully in the future create an API or an application programming interface that would communicate with the the human management information systems that the Kansas Statewide Homeless Coalition uses using those federal funding sources. So very excited about this tool. I want to talk a little bit about eviction data in our community and where the HSC is situated in providing supports to this. These are updated numbers for the amount of evictions that have occurred in Douglas County. These were finalized last week. So this is one of the first times that I'm pushing this out to the community here. So as you can see, in 2023, we have 629 evictions filed. And that's only through the end of Q3, and that's more than in the entire year that were filed last year. So I think over the course of the pandemic, we've been talking about an eviction crisis. We're here now, I think. But I would say that in our community, we are pretty well situated to support folks through that. This 307 number of other dismissals, I would say, you can see how that number has increased slowly over the course of the last 3 years. And I think that's in no small part due to the successes of the Housing Stabilization Collaborative. We've been able to situate ourselves to provide emergency supports and bring people out of the emergency situations that they find themselves in that leads to these evictions. I would also say that Douglas County District Court recently started an eviction program diversion coordinator, and that person just started in the last 2 weeks, and we're looking to build out more of this data as we continue. I think I can't say with 100% certainty that the HSC is, we can contribute our successes to this number. However, I probably will be able to do that within the year. I have 2 points I want to make on this slide. So there's demographic payment information that I couldn't actually fit it into the slide. It's a pretty big PDF. So I just linked it to a publicly hosted file on the HSC website, so you all can look at that at a later date. But I would say the biggest takeaway is that in many HUD and census survey racial categories, we're distributing assistance to non-white households at a greater rate than they're represented in Douglas County renter population. I think that's important because we know that these households, that not white households, are at more risk of housing instability than white households. And I think we're doing a very good job of recognizing that and meeting the needs of non-white households in our community for that purpose. I would also say that the 629 evictions filed in 2023, 45% of them are 289 ending orders of restitution. And another survey that has recently come out is called a tenant experience survey. The sexual assault prevention work group by the care center, there's a person that facilitates that group. They distributed a tenant experience survey, surveying around 1,050 tenants, and 73 people in that survey answered the question, if you were evicted in the last 24 months, did this end in homelessness for you? And 27% of those folks did. So if we take 27% of that 289 number that I just said, that comes out to around 76 households. I want to talk about that in terms of AHAB's goal of increasing affordability for all households in the Lawrence area. I would say that the HSC increases affordability in two ways. One, for households individually, we step in when there's an emergency and we provide supports that lead to long-term affordability. Part of our supportive services model is getting folks additional long-term supports that contribute to long-term affordability. And another way that it increases affordability for our community at large is that we spend significantly more housing people once they are experiencing homelessness than if we were to just keep them in their homes. And the HSC is situated to do that. We've shown over the last 3 years that we've been able to do that, and we're only continuing. So what I would say to board members of AHAB is that we're in transition. We were born out of the emergency need of the pandemic to get people emergency supports that were needed. We had to do that fast, and we did a very good job of that. You can see here an email from Jason Fizel, who was at the time the Kansas Emergency Rental Assistance Manager. You can see he had a lot of different titles at the time. I think he has a lot less now, hopefully to his benefit. But we in Douglas County constitute 4.2% of the population, but we receive 7.4% of the care payments during the pandemic. And I think that speaks to the strength of the collaborative. We are doing great work, and there are so many people who are dedicated to providing the supports that people need when they face emergency and to get them those longer term supports that they need. So I would say that it would be truly devastating to not receive this funding for the HSC, knowing that we're kind of on a trajectory of building out even a more effective program. And this is funding that we've been using for the last 3 years. And I think I will leave you all with that and open it up for any questions you may have.
All right.
I just spoke really
Thank you, Gabby.
fast. And yeah, definitely ask some questions if you have them.
All right, we'll open it up for questions.
You can
Go ahead,
always
Phil.
count on me for a question.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
Chair. Christina Gentry. Thank you, Gabby. And I'm going to look forward to the survey demographic or the demographic payment info that you've embedded into your presentation. But explain a little bit to me and give me some context just for me to understand the lottery process and what is it based upon. Understanding the survey of non-white households at more risk for eviction, how does that play into the lottery process when you are distributing funds to individuals?
We do have a prioritization process for folks experiencing more at risk of experiencing an eviction. So that is what I will say regarding that. And so we know that these populations of folks, Black and brown folks in particular, are more at risk of experiencing eviction, but we are prioritizing those households. Thus, our demographic payment information is skewed in that direction, is what I will say.
Thank you.
And just for, I guess I can look here. Yeah, I won't share that. It's all in there, and you can take a look at it at a later date.
Okay, thanks, Gabby.
This is Phil Engelhardt. I have a question, and it is, I've never really understood how you all treat people with previous history of incarceration with respect to housing vouchers in general, and you know, I've never really understood that, and I'd like to know as quickly as you can how that might work. how much more difficult is it for that subpopulation as opposed to the larger subpopulation?
What I would say is that we do not take a look at people's criminal history when we're looking to support them. We support everybody that comes through the process if they're selected through the lottery. But I will say that those households do have a harder time finding housing. I would say that we work with people to get them whatever supports that they need. But yeah, oftentimes there are barriers to that are kind of out of the HSC's control. But again, we work with everybody and we try to get them the supports that they need as much as possible.
So just to follow up, so they are not at a disadvantage with respect to the lottery and with respect to being able to qualify for a housing voucher?
So let me clarify. The HSC is emergency rental assistance with supportive services that could eventually lead to a housing choice voucher. The goal is to build into the program that we're applying with households, helping households apply for housing choice vouchers, but we are not a voucher program in and of ourselves. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm sure it's going to get mentioned today in another presentation, but yeah, we work with other programs like the Housing Choice Voucher as much as we can in regards to people's criminal history.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Maybe time for one more question.
What happens if you don't get these funds?
It just decreases the amount of people that we can serve. And yeah, I think it would just be, it would be disheartening to say the least to the collaborative if we had to decrease the amount of households that we serve. Because we already know that the amount of funding that we do have is not enough. We can see it through the numbers. We can see it in those eviction numbers that we just showed you. And I'm hoping that, again, with that eviction diversion program coordinator, that person and that program can work with the Housing Stabilization Collaborative to hopefully decrease that number as in the most efficient ways possible that we can with the funding that we have.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gabby. You got 30 seconds to wrap up if you want.
I don't think I have anything more to say except for thank you all for doing this. This is it's a long meeting for you all, and I truly appreciate the service to the community that y'all provide by doing this. Right. Thank you.
Thank you for making the application on behalf of HSC and your work in our community, Gabby. Thanks. All right. That concludes that presentation. We have next the Flint Hills Holding Group, LLC, East Heights Family Housing. Tony Krisnick.
Thank you. My name is Tony Kresnick. I own a company called Flint Hills Holdings Group. We specialize in affordable housing here in the Midwest, Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa.
And I'm Marie Taylor. I am the Executive Director of Positive Bright Start here in Lawrence, and I am part of the child care and early education piece of this project.
I was asked to attend a meeting a couple of months ago with several local stakeholders, several nonprofits, about how to solve the issues that we have regarding affordable housing specific to family developments and early child care. And as a group, we came up with a plan for the East Heights school location that will be coming up for sale here in the near future. And we're excited about this. I think it's fairly unique to Lawrence, possibly even the state of Kansas. This development is solely focused around multi-generational households and developing eventual home ownership for families that have children. We have garages, we have playgrounds, we have all of the services that Marie's group provides. Right now we have been working with CT Design, and we are estimating that we will have 60 units. Most of these units will be 3-bedroom units, and as I stated before, after the initial 15 years, the vast majority, if not all of these units, will be available to be purchased by affordable families for affordable rates. Currently, we have spectrum going all the way down to 30% of the area median income, up to 70%. And again, we have 2- and 3-bedroom units. I'll let you talk about your space a little bit, the roughly 15,000 square feet.
Sure. So if you're familiar with Positive Bright Start, we have a number of programs in the community, 2 of which are early childhood classrooms that are very specifically focused on social emotional development. And we tend to be the place that if children from that age of 2.5 to 5 are getting kicked out of childcare somewhere, they'll come to us. We really value making sure that a child can be successful in this thing called school. So that piece will be part of the square footage that we're going to have on this property. We would like to serve the whole range of early childhood. So we'd have 4 classrooms, infant through preschool. We would be serving about 40 children because we do also require lower ratios to ensure that children are successful in those spaces. The second program we'll be bringing to the community is we also provide mental health services to children 5 and under. And so we would be bringing that space over into this community as well. We will still be serving all of Douglas County, but we would be right there in that community as part of creating that collaborative there.
I might also mention we will be entering into a 15-year lease with the nonprofit. The lease rate will be $1 per year, with the nonprofit only being responsible for their tenant improvements and their common area costs. From an economic standpoint, real quick, the project's estimated to be $19,630,000. We are requesting $1.2 million from the city of Lawrence. We're requesting almost $10 million in both federal affordable housing and state affordable housing tax credits from the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. We are estimating at a 8.25% interest rate that the amount of permanent debt we'll be able to support is just under $3 million. And to give you an idea, if you were to take a look at 8.25% interest rate, what is that based on? Right now, today, 10-year Treasury would probably be right around 4.8% roughly. The lending arm that we're using is actually very favorable. We're 300 basis points or 3% higher than that, which puts us today right at 7.9%, and we have accounted for 25% basis hike with just a little bit of a cushion, in hopes of not having to come back and ask for more, as I will be doing here in just a few minutes on a different project.
Are you ready for questions?
Yeah, any questions?
I'm going to open that up to everybody.
Count on me.
I know I can count on you, Phil. So, okay, can I ask a question first? Okay.
You're the chair.
So I'm trying to get the 60 2- to 3-bedroom units, and then you said something about 8 million of that being affordable housing. I'm trying to understand what the affordable housing component of this. How many units? Is that right? I mean, 60 2- to 3-bedroom units, and then those will be affordable for 15 years, and then what happens?
I'm sorry, there are 60 total units. The 100% of those units are slated to be 2- and 3-bedroom units.
Okay.
The initial 15-year compliance period for affordability is intact, along with an extended 15 years, just like all of our other projects. The unique thing about this project, at the end of 15 years, we're exploring eventual home ownership for the affordable families to be able to buy their single-family home or their duplex.
Okay, and is there, okay, I'm gonna let Phil, I have one question. I'll let Phil go.
I know it's early days, but when you talk about exploring an option to make this transition to permanent, to home ownership, briefly, how might you envision that could happen for people who are at 40 to 60% of AMI? I'm puzzled.
Yeah, it's a program that came out about 5 or 6 years ago. We would work with the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation to come up with those calculations. This, unlike a lot of our projects, is not designed to be a multifamily development. It's designed with single family in mind. And so we would work with the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation as to how to come up with those parameters. In terms of the functionality of a 30, 40, 50, 60% tenant being able to afford the purchase of one of their homes, I believe oftentimes they would work with the local nonprofits to help with that path, and that's why we've engaged so many nonprofits along the way in this process. If it is deemed that the units cannot sell to an affordable family, they would remain affordable for the full 30-year compliance period, the initial 15 and then the extended 15. Okay. So at a bare minimum, these units would be affordable for the full 30 years, just as all of our other projects are.
Okay, thank you.
Tony, I'm trying to visualize what this looks like. You're talking about the East Heights property.
That's correct.
And so does the school stay? Does that building stay intact?
No, they're not there. They're not there currently.
No, the structure.
I'm sorry. No, the one-story slab-on-grade structure would be raised.
Okay.
It is a non-historic building. It's not on the National Registry.
And so you're going to build 60 units. What do those look like? Are they, I mean, is that similar to your other projects? Are you doing?
Yeah, good question.
I mean,
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get a picture of what this looks like.
In the approximate location where the school is, there would be a small 3-story building that would have the nonprofit on the first floor, common area spaces for the families and the children on the first floor, and just 2 levels of apartments, approximately 18 to 20 apartments.
Okay.
The remaining 3 acres of the site, at least the usable acreage of the site, would be almost exclusively single family and duplex housing.
Okay, thank you. And then also you referenced a playground area in that also gets in that mix. That's part of that site plan.
Right now, we're hoping to have 3 playground areas, 2 outside, 1 inside. And that would be used with our nonprofit partner and also used within the community. We wanted to have 2 outside so that during hours of operation, there was a bifurcation and separation, and then interior space for the common areas as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so to finish this visual concept, there's going to be an HOA probably, homeowner association to maintain that, or some sort of, there's common area space for all of this kind of, if I live in one of the units, I can go to the park and, yeah.
Absolutely. During the initial 15-year period, though, that would be an operational expense that is not paid by the HOA. That'd be an operational expense that is paid by the development itself, specifically the limited partnership. At the end of 15 years, depending on the success of the eventual home ownership, you're exactly right, it would convert to an HOA.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you?
No, go.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm just going to make sure I laser focus on time, but in your application, you reference the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so I just kind of wanted to understand a little bit about why that was referenced. In favor also to understand what community health initiatives may have been in collaboration with this, because I'm assuming, and I may be wrong because it's been a long time since the community health plan was meeting to talk about these outcomes of making there be affordable housing and childcare and other things that are embedded into what that looks like for our community. But with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I couldn't help but understand that you put that into your application, and the needs don't always exist in a pyramid format. So I just kind of wanted to know your reasoning for introducing that into your application, and then how will multi-generational and ethnically diverse families be centered in the outreach, aesthetic, and design of this program? Because I had questions about your purpose of using that hierarchy of needs, and then understanding that that's not really an equitable way to approach community outreach or affordable housing and that needs assessment. So I just kind of wanted to know, what is it that looks actionably that's going to be ethnically diverse households in Lawrence that are going to be reached in this outreach?
Yeah, from a hierarchy standpoint, we want to develop this project providing tools and resources for everybody involved to succeed, right? Going all the way down from, and I'm sorry I don't have it memorized, but self-esteem down to the basics, the ability to provide quality, affordable housing, shelter. From a multi-generational standpoint, from an equitable standpoint, that's what this project is based upon. It's something for everybody. I think that the uniqueness of this project, unlike a lot of our multifamily developments, is that we're really focused around the children aspect here. And so was your other question about medical?
No, no medical. I wanted to know, what does that actually look like? I mean, to utilize a format, I would like to see what is it that you are going to do that looks to be including ethnically diverse households and engaging those as actions into your outreach for the people that you are trying to build into this.
Yeah, I mean, just like all of our other projects, obviously we're going to adhere to fair housing standards. From an actionable standpoint, or what this will look like, we're going to be providing quality, affordable housing for people with families that have the resources where it doesn't currently exist today. So we'll have garages, we'll have small yards, we'll have multiple playgrounds. We have our nonprofit partners that are bringing a lot to the table, things that I believe are unique to Lawrence, Douglas County, and many of these things that might actually be unique statewide. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Also, just considering the idea that we could have childcare right in that community. So when we think about how hard it can be to have children at different ages running kids to lots of different schools, it can be tricky to get everywhere and then also get to work. That's one of the other components we're thinking about, is being able to have childcare very close. We currently have 2 classrooms in the Edgewood community that is just south of this property, and we would still also wanting to really be serving that community as well. We would just be serving them just a little bit north of where they currently are.
Thank you.
All right, we got about a minute left. Any more questions? I'm looking online here. I want to make sure everybody's got an opportunity, because I know I'm terrible at that. All right, you got about a minute to wrap up. Thank you.
I'm open for other questions, and if not, I think we've covered it all.
Yeah.
Quick one then.
Yeah, you got one.
Ballpark, if you got 60 units, how many are going to be on the second and third floor of the 3-tier structure?
Yeah, roughly 18 to 20 right now. Very, very few. We want to focus on single-family, duplex, garages, small yards for the kid, for the dog, something that's fairly, unique to at least a lot of the developments we do. The multifamily developments does a lot of good for a lot of people. There's not a lot of families that live in the multifamily developments, regardless of whether or not you have 2 or even 3-bedroom units. And so we wanted to really pay attention to that on this development.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you. It's a unique project, and we appreciate you making an application like this.
Waters has her hand raised.
Oh. Sarah, do you have your hand up? Do you want? Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. We are on to the next application, which again is Flint Hills Holding Group, New Hampshire Street Lofts, a new 30-year affordable housing for seniors. Tony Kresnick.
Thanks. I just wanted to provide a recap here. We are asking for an additional $300,000. As a reminder, between ARPA and AHAP, the project has already been awarded and received $550,000. This application, depending on if you consider preliminary application, goes back a couple of years. This is strictly an economic request, and I did want to go over a few numbers with you, if you don't mind. New Hampshire Lofts and Penn Street Lofts are almost identical in size. They're almost identical in look. They're within 2% of one another. Penn Street Lofts, completed 2.5 years ago, was an $11,431,000 project. Again, New Hampshire lofts, almost identical. New Hampshire lofts, we have civil engineering work, about 60–70% complete. Structural engineering work, we have our approvals from the HRC. We have our lender approvals. We have our tax credit approvals for the initial request from the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. We know our numbers, we're ready to go, and we hope to go by the end of the year. This project, compared to $11,431,000, is $18,475,000. That's how real inflation is. Nothing has changed with this project and the other project. Nearly identical, half a mile away. That's literally how much costs have jumped over the last 2.5 years. Wanted to give you one more statistic as well. Penn Street Lofts, $3.5 million in permanent debt. This project, with interest rates at 7.9% on the perm loan, can only support $1.9 million. And so we're before you today asking for the additional $300,000 to help fund this project. Our developer fee, we have deferred our developer fee that does not show a complete repayment until year 10. We don't have any more room to go on this project. We believe that interest rates might go up 25 basis points or 1/4%. It's probably not going to go down for at least another year, year and a half. And so we're here shovel ready, begging the commission to help us out with the additional $300,000. I wanted to focus on the developer fee. Again, the developer fees are set by the state. All a developer can do is defer as much as the tax credit investors or state will allow. The total amount of non-deferred developer fee in terms of a project cost standpoint is 3.03% on an $18.5 million project. Is a recap, because I know it has been a while since we've talked about this project. We do have 49 affordable units here. These are dedicated for seniors. Right downtown Lawrence, across the street from a bus stop, all of the amenities. In the Warehouse Arts District, probably have 150 people on our waiting list. With 150 people on our waiting list, plus the 150 people we have living in the Warehouse Arts District, probably have close to 100 people that would qualify for the 55 and older product. So this is a product that's in very, very high demand, and we just need a little bit more help getting us over the finish line here. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions about this project? Phil, you good for a question?
Oh, I'm always good for a question.
Okay.
And this is probably semantics here, but I mean, when I looked at the front end of the application, you seem to be indicating a wider demographic range than just 55 plus. So I'm a little confused. Maybe you could straighten that out for me. When you were checking boxes, it looked to me like it had families with minor children as well as workforce. So I don't think I misread it. I think
On the New Hampshire Lofts project?
I don't have the actual.
Yeah, I do. It's right here.
Okay. Yeah, so what populations will be served? Families with minors, low-income seniors, others than listed, veterans and workforce. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that didn't save properly from the East Heights project coming over. What I will say is we've done 4 affordable senior projects. Some of our seniors do have children. Most of them do not. You know, 55 and older, those aren't our requirements. Those are what's deemed as being senior. I don't think it's very senior myself anymore, but some of our projects, especially in Southeast Kansas, they do have families. And so we might have checked that box just to make sure that everybody knows that we obviously will allow children to live in our communities so long that they meet the senior demographic, 55 and older. A lot of our seniors do have jobs or part-time jobs. Some of our seniors are veterans, but the unique thing about this project is, we've stated in previous meetings, is the primary tenant is designated and needs to be 55 years of age or older.
Okay, just a confusing point. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Tony, could you remind me, did you come to the PIRC, the Public Incentives Review Committee, with this same proposal, and what was the outcome of that? And how is this is a three-part question, because I'm remembering now that meeting, but remind me the outcome of that meeting and how those incentives would be used for this project.
Yeah, we did go before PERC as well as the City Commission. Both were unanimous votes in support of the project. And the dollars spent here go to the construction costs for the project. Again, $18,475,000, and all of the dollars will go towards the uses of funds of the project: construction, architectural fees, soft costs, land acquisition, et cetera.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Again, for bringing another project.
Yes.
All right. We have the next project is Floret Hill LP. It's new permanently affordable housing. It's Kelsey Herr, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it on the bottom here, Leah?
It should be on the desktop.
Do you mind assisting me? Oh, of course, since you got, yeah, you got up.
Okay,
You
cool.
got up, so now I found it. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Thank you guys for having us. I'm Kelsey Hare, a part of Wheatland Investment, and we are here.
You need to share your screen.
Okay.
Over there, hit the Zoom box on your right. Close.
Right here.
Yep. Hit the arrow, box in the arrow. There you go. Green button at the bottom says share screen. And the one that's yours. Perfect.
So now you all know this is not my strong suit. Okay, thank you so much. As I said, I'm Kelsey Hare with Wheatland Investment Group. We're here today for Floret Hill, an affordable housing community. Just to give you a recap, we've been before you before, but we are a development company out of Johnson County. Dave and Susie founded Wheatland Investments with the focus on real estate, property management, and affordable housing for seniors and families. Myself, I'm actively on the board of Kansas Housing Association, and I serve on the KHRC steering committee for the annual conference. We are fully integrated management and development company, and the team brings a tremendous amount of knowledge to the industry. We believe that this Floret Hill will be the fourth affordable housing development community Wheatland has brought into the city of Lawrence, but it will be the first on the west side. Wheatland has a strong relationship with the City of Lawrence, Kansas Housing Resource Corp., and the Affordable Housing Advisory Board. This unit we will maintain for over 15 years. It is also going to be permanently affordable, and I'll get to that here in a second, but I wanted to tell you it's located on the southeast corner of K-10 and Bob Billings Parkway. It's approximately 14.5 acres, and there'll be 121 affordable units. Our units will consist of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and we are applying for a 4% allocation through KHRC. All of our lender and investors have been identified and committed funds to the project, and we do believe that this addresses the strategic plan in increasing the affordability housing. This is a site layout and amenities. As you can see, we have a variation of different units. We've got some apartments, we've got some duplexes, and we have some, am I moving the mouse? Okay. In our amenities that we will include are the community building, and in that community building, we will offer several different activities. We'll have a picnic, a playground area, walking paths, garages, in-unit washer dryers. Of the total 121 units, we'll have a breakdown of 12 units will be 1 bedrooms, 71 will be 2 bedrooms, and 38 will be 3 bedrooms. We also have up in this corner here that commercial piece. This population will serve 25 of our units will be dedicated to seniors only, which will be 55 and older. The rest of the population will be open to families. If I've learned anything from you all, families is a very loose term, so it could be a single person, it could be a group of 3, it could be, it's a very loose term, so it's open to families. Our AMI targeting will be as follows: 4% will be at 34 units, at 30%, 33 units at 40%, and 84 at 60%. The range of our units will be based on a resident's income. So our 1 bedrooms can be anywhere from 478 all the way up to 1,000. The 2 bedrooms are 573 all the way up to 1,212. And then the 3 bedrooms are 906 to 1,398. We will also accept Section 8 vouchers for any and all residents that qualify and bring that to our project. This is just a typical floor plan. We provided both the apartment, so that's on the left side, and then if it were the townhome, it's on the right that has the garage. That's the 1 bedroom, and I'll flip through these pretty quickly because you guys have this. The 2 bedroom and the 3 bedroom. And then back to our community center. We currently have community centers in our senior projects, and they get used all the time. We try really hard to outreach and work with different communities here in Lawrence. The local library loves bringing books to the complex so that the residents don't have to leave the site. They can literally walk to the community center. We have healthcare providers that come in and they provide us flu shot, COVID shot. They do palliative care. They do balance. They do many exercise classes, nutrition education, and so much more. We have Meals on Wheels. We're also with tenants to homeowners. They come out and provide us education for tenants' rights, credit counseling, and education for residents to eventually provide home ownership. We do financial education, and then all of the fun stuff, the game days, the potlucks, the social time, the holiday parties. They love it all. And then our community center will also have an exercise room that is available for the residents 24/7. We really feel that Floret Hill solves a lot of the needs that you have asked us to address. Several of our units, all of our units will be affordable, but on the west side of town. We also have the different income levels within the one project, the rental and the home ownership, and then a variety of our residents being seniors, single residents, families. Floret Hill will also adhere to all fair housing while leasing and maintaining the project. Tenants to homeowners will also be building 12 to 14 family ownership units on this site. The plan is to provide them credit and first-time home buyer education so that the residents can move into the home ownership. If the reason I said previously that this will be a permanently affordable, if Wheatland decides to sell the project after our tax credit compliance period, there is a buyout in place with tenants to homeowners as they are the landowner to maintain this project for it to become permanently affordable. The value of the land donated to this project would be considered in the sales price to ensure that that affordability is maintained. I am open for any and all questions, hopefully.
I'm going to open that up. If nobody has a question, I do. So. Okay, just one question on the buyout at the end. If tenants to homeowners were not in a position to buy the property, what happens to the value of the land that they put into the project? Let's say you're at 30 years and you sell the project. on the market.
That's not how our, that would not happen. We are either going to continue to carry it as Wheatland, or we will work out a plan with tenants to homeowners. We will not sell it out from tenants to homeowners. So if they're not in a position, hypothetically, year 30 to purchase it, Wheatland would continue to own that and maintain it as an affordable housing until potentially tenants to homeowners was in.
Maybe your question asked a different way is the value of the land that the tenants to homeowners owns, will it be protected in some form or fashion as this entity or this investment continues?
Right.
They don't get gypped in the deal, right?
Correct, correct, I would say yes. And the city donated the land, just for even additional, the city donated the land to tenants to homeowners. So there's a lot
understand.
of,
Yeah.
there's a lot of encouragement for us to keep that.
Got it.
Okay.
Hi, I had a question. Under community engagement and or increasing community awareness and engagement and partnerships in affordable housing, it states that you'll be reaching a number, it says 500, and that's a pretty good one to reach. Understanding this is also on the west side, and understanding there's a little bit of pushback to having that kind of space available in that area. I'm assuming you're also utilizing a lot of tenants to homeowners for some of your community engagement. So it says 500 people will be reached with your community engagement output. How will you do that? How will 500 individuals know that this is coming and be able to assess and give some kind of feedback to this project in the west side?
Sure. So we always do a neighborhood outreach. We have our civil engineer assist us with that, and we send out letters to everyone in that area. We will post it. We will make sure that we get the blast out to as many people as we can to notify them of what we're doing and what our plans are. We then hold an open neighborhood meeting, I guess you could say, where we would meet on site or meet similar and discuss any concerns they have. If they hypothetically didn't want a playground, then we would ask them what would they suggest in turn, and we try to make it a partnership with the community we're moving into. As you know, we have 3 other projects here, and we've done pretty well in the neighborhoods that we've been in, so we do try to become part of that community, not just plopping in and saying we're here now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
I'm trying to understand this. I had a difficult time reading your proposal. It really wasn't legible to me, but it might be my old eyes. The first question is tenants going to be responsible for the home ownership portion of this proposed project?
Correct.
And that equates to the duplex form?
Correct.
Okay. Construction sequencing, just ballpark, I know it's wild and very early in the game, but are you talking about setting up the multi-unit apartment complex first, and then at some point in the future, X number of years down the road, having the duplex portion of the thing put in place?
I think we're trying to do everything concurrent with each other. While we have the subs and while we have people on site, we are working very closely with tenants to homeowners so that while we have the utilities and such being put in, that happens for them too. So I do believe we're trying to do the whole thing all at once. Did that answer?
I could go
You
on
look
forever,
confused.
but
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. You mentioned on the site plan that there's a commercial space.
Yeah.
How do you see that being used? And will the revenue generated by a potential commercial lease there go back into the project, or how does that work?
I think our vision for that would be maybe an urgent care or something of that nature, though Tony had a great idea of a child care, so I don't know, maybe that would work in that spot. But I think we're open to kind of anything we can get to that location, but we would really like for it to benefit our residents. So an urgent care, something that
Sure.
we're not going to put a gas station.
Thank you. All right. Anybody online there? I'm going to look again.
I have one last question,
Okay, great.
just for clarity. Embedded in your diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, is this policy also applicable to your main page? Anyone could find this and be able to access it, or is this something just for the application's purpose?
Like the fair housing addendum, is that what you're referring to?
I feel that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Your
So-
application and non-discrimination statement.
So we don't have that on our homepage, though that is in every single office. Everywhere that we have units, that is something that we hand all employees, and it is enforced. We have the fair housing logo on our website, but not that entire statement. Though that's a good suggestion, we could add that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Last call here.
I have another one if I
Okay,
have time. So if you were going to just wild guess, I mean, assuming everything came together financially, what would the duration of the project be? When would you expect to see units on the ground?
Sure. I actually have a timeline. Give me just a second to look that up. I'm thinking probably 24 months from start to finish, once we have funding in place and close.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you've got about a minute to kind of wrap up if you want to say anything, or you can
I
give us
just
a
would
minute.
really like to thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing an innovative project to us.
Thank you.
All right, we are running amazingly 10 minutes ahead of schedule. I think we should just take like a 3-minute break. If we're
Okay.
okay with that?
You're
Take a
the chair.
3 to
Need a
5 minute
motion for
break, be
that.
back here at quarter after.
You're unmuted.
Are we on?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for allowing us to take that little break. We will start Monte Sokup Justice Matters Affordable Housing Advisory Board. We will start up where we left off with Independence, Inc. Accessible Housing Program and Accessibility Modifications. And we have Daniel Brown, I believe.
Yes. Hi.
All right.
Share my screen. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Brown. I'm the Core Service Manager at Independence Incorporated, and I'm the Project Manager for our Accessible Housing Program. Just to give you a quick overview, so our Accessible Housing Program provides assistance to enable seniors and folks with disabilities who are low to moderate income make needed accessibility modifications to their homes. The outcome for each of our projects is to ensure access into and throughout the vital areas of their home. Typically what that means is an accessible entrance into the home and also access into and use of the bathroom and sometimes a bedroom as well on the main level. We do a funding cap of $10,000 per project. Most of our projects come in well underneath that. Our program is open to both renters and homeowners. All of our projects, for all of our projects, we use a qualified local contractor who has a lot of experience doing accessibility modifications. And this program in its current form has been in existence for the past 4 years that we've received trust funds. So why is the program needed? So we feel that there's not enough affordable and accessible housing in the area to meet demand. The senior population is only expected to increase in our area, which will just increase demand for accessible and affordable housing options here in Lawrence. Also, many of the affordable housing options that are existing today have a tendency to be some of the least accessible, particularly older homes, older apartment complexes, trailer homes, et cetera. And home modifications can be difficult to afford for folks, and there are just few resources that assist with this type of thing. So how does our program work? So we do have a process where we screen applicants for eligibility. They're required to submit an application and proof of income. We try to keep our program as low barrier as absolutely possible. So we just require the minimal amount of information for reporting purposes and to determine eligibility financially. After we've screened an applicant to make sure that they're eligible, we meet with them in the home, discuss accessibility issues and concerns that they're having, and really just determine exactly what work they're needing to have done on their house. Once we've decided that, based off that meeting, we create bid specs, communicate with our contractor, who also goes out to the home to meet with the client. Once those bid specs are returned, sometimes there's a little bit of back and forth, but eventually the go-ahead's given. Once work's completed on the project, we then go back out, meet with the client in their home, make sure the modification is working for them and they're satisfied with it. On the rare instance that we do need to have the contractor go back out to make an adjustment, we do have the contractor do that, and then we follow up with the client afterwards. Once we've ensured that the modification is safe and it's functional for the client, then we pay the contractor. Types of modifications we've previously provided for this program, so includes ramps, which is what most people think of when you think of home modifications. We also get a lot of requests for accessible showers, grab bars, handheld shower heads, accessible toilets. Those are toilets that are a little bit higher off the ground than a standard toilet. They're easier to get on and off of and to transfer to from a wheelchair. Low-rise steps, we don't get a lot of requests for those, but we have done a couple. Accessible sinks, those are sinks that a wheelchair can actually go underneath, and widening doorways for wheelchair and walker access. So as I said, this program as is has been in existence for the past 4 years. During that time, we've completed 28 projects. You can see those projects on this map. As you can see, they're relatively widely dispersed around the city. Some of those blue little dots actually indicate multiple projects because they indicate a trailer park or potentially an apartment complex or something like that. Grab bars, accessible showers, and ramps were the most requested accessibility modification that we get. The vast majority of the households that we're serving are well under 30% median household income for the area. We've served a wide range of folks, as low as 2 years of age and as high as 95 years of age. We've done modifications for single-family houses, apartments, duplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, and trailer homes. So as far as this year, what we've done with the funding that we were awarded for 2023, we have completed 10 projects as of today. Accessible showers were the most requested modification this year. In fact, half of the projects we completed were accessible showers. Multifamily housing was the most modified, followed closely by single-family homes. 70% of households served were 40% AMI. Average age head of household was 62 years of age. And the majority of households served had a female head of household. So program status for the rest of the year from here going forward. So we currently have 5 applicants that have been screened as eligible, and we have 1 project currently in progress. However, we are nearing the end of our awarded trust funds for this year. We have enough funding to complete the project that's in progress right now, and potentially 1 more project probably. But after that, we will probably need to establish a waiting list of some kind for the applicants we have currently already screened, and if there's any other applicants we get between now and the end of the year, would probably need to go on a waiting list as well. And that's the rationale for us requesting some additional funding this year. Typically, we requested $50,000. This year, we are requesting $75,000, and it's specifically to address the waiting list that we will probably have by the end of the year. So in closing, we feel the goal of our program is very much in line with the goals of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and that it increases the amount of affordable and accessible housing stock in the area. The program has been successful in allowing program participants to maintain safe and affordable housing. And with the funding that we've requested, we can continue to make this program a success. And that is all that I have. So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
All right, thank you, Daniel. We'll open that up for questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. In the past, well, last year, I recognized there was some data that reflected that the majority of the homes that you were helping to make improvements were mobile homes. I may not be correct on that, but it was last year. I'm just looking at maybe understanding of, is there a projected repeat of the population served, being those who live in mobile or use mobile homes?
I think you're right. I know last year, I believe we did serve a number of mobile homes. This year, I believe we just served 1. So 1 mobile home. I believe we did a couple of, maybe 3 duplexes, a 4-plex, an apartments in a large apartment complex, and then the rest were single-family homes.
So the projected number that you have, I noticed that you said you had a list, or you had some folks who were, currently waiting to be served with these improvements made. Are those, without giving specifics, are those people who are living in duplexes, or people who are living in homes, or is that mobile home folks as well?
I don't believe any of those are mobile homes. Okay. The project we have going on right now that's in process is a mobile home. I don't believe the other 5 are.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? I have a couple. So you said that the majority...
Chairman, we've got somebody up.
Erica.
Oh, go, Erica.
Erica Zimmerman, Lawrence Habitat. I actually have 2, but I'll ask one, and then if there's time, I'll ask the other one. Daniel, could you talk to us just a little bit about the process of working with landlords in your rental program space, and how you get that permission and what happens if that permission isn't granted?
Okay, yeah, sure. So on the application, if it specifically asks, are you a renter or are you a homeowner? If you're a renter, then there's a section on the application that requires them to go to their landlord and have the landlord sign off that they're agreeing to the modification that we're making. It's rare. I can't think of an instance where we've had a landlord say, no, you can't do that. It also says on there that's part of fair housing law. If the landlord did say, no, you can't do that, we would probably do some advocacy at that point and informing the landlord of what landlord-tenant law would be. And under fair housing, that a person with a disability has the legal right to request a modification that, at their own expense or the expense of a program that can pay for it. But yeah, I can't recall a situation where a landlord said no after they were asked. We have assisted tenants in making the request. Sometimes tenants don't want to approach their landlord to ask, so we've helped them make the request, and it's not been an issue. Most are pretty happy to do so, and particularly since they're not paying for it, we're offering to pay for it. So,
thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so in your report, you said you handle mostly people with 30% AMI or below. Do you actually income qualify folks, or is that just more of a generalization?
No, we income qualify folks. So I don't have the information in front of me, but I can tell you specifically in each category who. But yeah, just the majority are 30% below. This past year the majority were 40% below, but everybody has to be 80% or below. But most aren't getting close to that 80%.
Thank you, Dano. Okay, any others? Do you want a minute or so to close, or you?
I have nothing else to say. Just thank you for the opportunity to present your consideration.
Thank you for having run this program for the last 4 years. It's a great program. So thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
All right. The next presentation is Loris Douglas County Housing Authority New Horizon Project. It's a housing vouchers, and I'm probably going to butcher this. Galal Obdeed.
You got it.
Okay. I knew I had the Galal part right.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Galal Obeid. I am with the Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority. I currently serve as the Vice President for Program Operations, and I'm here to talk about our New Horizon application. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a short presentation available. Get that. You able to see that, Leah?
Yeah.
Great. So, the New Horizon program was developed at the request of the city and the county back in 2016. The program goal was to offer housing solutions that are quick to families facing homelessness. And so, compared to our other programs, New Horizon is still able to continue to meet that need by reducing wait time for families down to 1 to 3 months compared to 6 to 8 months with our other transitional programs and 12 to 18 months in our general housing program. So this program offers housing assistance to the families that are guests of the Lawrence Community Shelter or Family Promise of Lawrence for 24 months. The funds that are requested would house about 2 to 3 households, on average 8 to 12 individuals. And with this program, 24 months of case management is required by the referral agency or an agreed upon partner agency that LDCHA works with as well. So the families are required to continue to receive case management for 24 months, and then they're up for transferring to a permanent housing choice voucher. So in working closely with the LCS and Family Promise, we're able to have really high success rate compared to national average when it comes to transitional housing. We're currently administering 83 transitional vouchers across our different transitional programs. 12 of them are specific to the New Horizons program. Since 2016, the program has served 39 families, 143 individuals, 95 which are children. 54% of the families identify as BIPOC, 64% have been single moms, and the New Horizon program has a success rate of 79%, meaning that after 24 months of transitional housing, these families are receiving a permanent housing choice voucher that will remain with the family for as long as they need it and meet program requirements. 87% of the families that have been served are in 0 to 30% AMI, so we are serving the highest need. Let's see. And what makes the funds very valuable is that not only are we able to quickly house these families and get them into homes, these funds create a pathway to permanent housing assistance. And with that, I'll be able to take any questions.
Thank you, Glow. Questions?
I have,
Go,
Phil
Phil.
Engelhardt, I have the same question that I had with the earlier service and assistance program, and that is, could you explain to me how persons with previous history of incarceration, are they eligible for these transitional vouchers? And if so, what is their pathway towards a more permanent housing voucher arrangement?
So LDCHA is actually moving to reducing the criminal background, like look-back period, to try to make the housing a little bit more accessible. So 2 areas in which LDCHA is unable to accept someone into housing is if they're on the National Sex Offender List or they have been committed the production and distribution of methamphetamines. In terms of criminal background, we have a 3-year look back into drug and violent criminal activity. But we do work with the partner agencies to identify, to look at if these households have been through any programming that is going to ensure their stability moving forward. We look at their stability plan for housing. So we do offer hearings to the families that are denied because of the criminal activity, so that we are able to assess whether their plan is able to make them more successful in maintaining their housing.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Galal. This is Christina Gentry. I wanted to just commend the numbers, 87% of families that you've served, and then the data that you have also shared with us is pretty significant. 79% of the success rate for New Horizons is also pretty significant. But tell me about the 21% that is not successful, and what does that entail? What does no success look like for this program?
That could mean that the family does not maintain the terms of the lease with their landlord. It could mean that it has led to an eviction, or that the family is no longer willing to participate in case management. Those would be 2 of the major reasons that households are considered to have not been successful. There's a lot of energy that's put in from the case managers and while communicating with LDCHA to try to keep these families housed. But it does happen that some people either remove themselves from case management or face other barriers within their lease terms.
And this is an addition to that, as we heard about the Housing Stabilization Coordination, or sorry, HSC, I'm just going to leave that acronym there. Would that be something that featured to increase that number of success? Would that be looking like working with the eviction diversion coordinator that is new to the court systems? Is that something that would be you collaborate with? I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. I think those are going to be great programs. We've also been utilizing the mediation group for tenants and landlords to help create solution with landlords and tenants to maintain their housing. Our goal is to obviously make sure that all the participants that come through the program are successful and become eligible for that permanent voucher. So we do work very closely with the partner agencies and try and maintain those households housed.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? All right. Galal, if you want to wrap up, you got a minute or so, and doesn't look like we have any more questions.
Yeah, I think it's just valuable to just reiterate that these funds are not only housing families facing homelessness quickly, they're also offering that pathway to permanent housing assistance. And so I think it's one of the great solutions for what the city is needing to do in addressing affordable housing needs. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing a proposal. All right. Next, we have 9th Street Missionary Baptist Church, called the Hope Project, new permanently affordable transitional housing with support. Takesha Derritt. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right, where's... All right. We just started. Do we start on our end? Does it start?
Yeah, if you could share the screen.
Oh, share. Oh,
Thank you.
What is the Zoom meeting? Where's it at? More and... Here we go. Share screen. Wrong.
Got it.
Yay.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning. Almost afternoon.
Sorry about that. Let me enable it. Okay, good morning. I am Takesha Derritt. I am the chair of the Hope Project for 9th Street Missionary Baptist Outreach Center. We are so excited to be here to present our project to you all. And I just have a few things that I want to share with you, okay? All right. 9th Street has been in existence for 160 years here in this community, this wonderful community of Lawrence, Kansas. We were founded by an organization from Boston to help establish the Kansas territory to one day become a free state. In 1998, the 9th Street Missionary Baptist Church purchased our outreach center, which we have been utilizing around this community for many, many years. It was established exclusively for charitable, religious, educational, and literacy purposes as a not-for-profit organization serving the Lawrence community. We specifically provide programs and services in the form of relief to the poor, the distressed, and underprivileged, community supports for food and clothing, affordable housing for families involved in the Family Promise Program, advancement of religion and education, lessening the burdens of government, and eliminating prejudice and discrimination, defending human and civil rights secured by law, and combating community deterioration and juvenile delinquency. We also partner with Justice Matters to get some of this stuff resolved for us. 9th Street Outreach Center has been working closely as a key partner with Family Promise of Lawrence since they opened in 2008. Our outreach center is planning to construct 6 additional units to the existing apartments that we are currently being used by Family Promise for temporary supportive housing. Our plan is to add 2 additional units to the current 4-plex that they're currently using, 1 unit being ADA compliant. The other 4 units will be an additional 4-plex building in the current parking lot. And I want to show you guys. Here, off to the side, on the right, left-hand side, is the blue 4-plex that we currently have. This building in the middle, the green, is the day center. All of these properties are owned by 9th Street Missionary Baptist Outreach Center. They currently house all of the office space for Family Promise, for their day center, for them to do all of their transactions. They have, the day center is there for the families to come and use if they want to wash their clothing, if they want financial literacy classes, cooking classes, classes, everything is there for them, centrally located, and all their case managers, which I have a wonderful case manager here, Ms. Venetia Hazel from Family Promise. They have the opportunity to have their case managers right there on the site. Right across the street is the fourplex, like I stated, and right next to it on the opposite side is our outreach center. We have been housing Family Promise families in that center for a long time. Since 2008, we've been partnering with them. They utilize our office space for their Christmas giveaways, for interviewing, everything. So we have been collaboration for a while. So we are very excited to present 6 more units for them on our property that we already own. So currently, you'll see next you'll see the existing fourplex is highlighted in the purplish pink, and then the proposed twoplex and fourplex is highlighted in orange for you all to see how we want to build those structures on our property. And then this is just a layout plan, because you know you want to have all that stuff so you can be prepared, you know. So our architects have been working. All right, in addition to the 9th Street Outreach Center, we have partnered with Family Promise, like I stated, on there for the congregational support of rotating their, what is it called? The rotation, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, they live at our buildings, basically. I like to make it plain. They live at our buildings rotating, and we interchange with other churches here in the community. So we normally have between 2 to 4 of the families. They rotate in our outreach center. We also provided shelter for the emergency winter shelter over the last couple of years. They housed the families of Lawrence because they couldn't be with the regular community. They would house them at our outreach center. From 2021 and 22, we did the emergency shelter program for that. So those additional new apartments will not only meet the need to keep the community affordable, but address the issues furthering racial equity as well for housing, because we do know that there is a need here in this community to have more racial equity housing. Okay, and Family Promise is definitely meeting that need. I'll let Venetia take it away.
I'm Venetia, Director of Family Services and Programming at Family Promise, and this slide is just showing the demographics that we've had since 2011. So we've served, our largest population served are single female-led households and BIPOC populations, which are well over the census demographics for our local community. And so based on these served by FPL annual, the use of the units are a big benefit because we're able to have people housed there in a permanent setting for at least up to a year in those housing solutions, because they have children, and we do serve below the AMI or disproportional households. This is the programming that we serve. So I serve from prevention, diversion, shelter, stabilization, and like she mentioned before, 15 years of serving in Douglas County. We have to date served more than 1,700 families within the 15 years of being here, and we really do enjoy the partnership we do have with 9th Street, because we're allowed to show and be flexible with the families that we're serving with housing. And so the current use of the 4 apartments owned by 9th Street has been very impactful, because like I said, if they have housing vouchers, they can stay there and create rental history. They can do things where they can be for within a year to establish themselves further into the community and be impactful to their own permanency as they graduate out of programming. I'll click it for you.
All right. Our plan is to start this program, and we have about a 24-month turnaround that we want to kind of target. We have several different partners that want to do in-kind donations for this project as well. So with the support from you all, we'll be able to further assist the economy with affordable housing for those families. We'll also be able to bring hope by assisting with making it accessible for our BIPOC community. With your support, I already said that. But I made a cute little slide with houses on it. So I doubled that. But anyway, you guys see that. All right, that's it for my presentation. Any questions that you guys might have for us?
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Have you submitted a site plan to the city as yet?
We have not. What we did is we got our own site plan. We got that taken care of already. We submitted the plans to the architect for drawing that up. We were waiting on the city because we have to combine the lots because we want to be able to make all of that area one lot. So right now, for instance, our outreach center, we're putting on a ramp for ADA compliance. So, and they told us that the ramp is going to go into the area with the 9th Street with the day center. So we have to combine that. So that's the reason why we haven't did it yet, but that is on the agenda.
You've talked to them
Oh, yeah.
about
We've been in several meetings with the city.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. Any additional questions?
Questions?
Hi. Christina Gentry, Family Promise graduate. So.
Yes, I am too, Christina.
Okay. Here, we're in the building.
Awesome.
Yes, we're in the building.
We're in the building. Is HOPE an acronym?
HOPE is not an acronym.
Okay.
HOPE is something that Takesha just thought of at one moment because honestly, like Christina just shared, she's went through the program before. I lost my home in 2011. Family Promise saved my life with me and my children. We were homeless, okay? This program, I am detrimentally I just love this program. My pastor does anything that we need for Family Promise because of that partnership. So just like Christina is sitting here, I have a full-time job, I own my business, I do everything in this community to make sure the Family Promise is good. So it just brings hope. I love the word hope because it just, it's just reflective of how good God is to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, Phil?
I have a question, and that is, I know it's difficult to envision, but if you were only awarded a partial set of funds, how could you envision that would impact your schedule or even your ability to move forward on the project?
Well, it would definitely impact us because we definitely want to be able to provide this within those 24 months. We are contingent upon this grant. However, we are applying for additional grants. We have applied for the home grant as well, and we have in-kind donations as well from several contractors and everything that want to help us do this project because they believe in hope as well.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
No problem.
I've got one more question.
go ahead.
I know that
go ahead.
we're at some time. Under the inquiry about how this project will incorporate trauma-informed policies and trauma-informed services, there wasn't an answer. Could you give me an answer? You seem to be very much prolific in like what the outcome of having hope and bringing that is. But what is, from a trauma-informed lens, what does that hope look like for this project?
That is where we partner with Family Promise because they are the ones that's doing that engineering already. They have a wonderful program already designed for this community and has been very impactful. So Benicia can tell you all about that trauma.
So well, I'll just start from the beginning. So we know shelter is a traumatic experience. So we just start from that beginnings phase. So in order to reduce the trauma, having families just enter into their own spaces where they can have their home setting, kind of keep going with and then like injecting skills, so we do the financial literacy, we do the keys to good tenancy. So the program side of things is very trauma informed because we're trying to reduce the initial trauma of having to enter shelter space. So you're entering into a home where you'll have case management come to you, resources will come to you in those specifics. And we already do this. This would just add to it so we can serve more families in the community.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, we'll give you a minute or so to wrap up.
I'm done. Spread hope. Enjoy.
But your smile spreads hope.
That's
Takesha.
right.
Thank you.
I can ask one more question. though.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I misunderstood, but is the typical duration of stay 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
It is.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you for bringing us this project to consider.
Thank you both.
Mr. Chair, This is Leah Roseland. If I could just make a clarifying comment really briefly, that they did submit a complete application, that because the application is for development as opposed to social services, they weren't required to complete the social services worksheet that asks a question about trauma-informed care. So I just wanted to make that clear to the board, that the application was complete and they required completed all the required questions for their project.
Can I make one more?
You got a minute.
1 minute? Okay, I got 1 minute. So in regards to what Leah said as well, one thing that we wanted to make sure that you all knew about is that we wanted to maintain this affordable housing by partnering with Family Promise or tenants to homeowners. So the land that we own is ours. However, those buildings in the land also will always remain affordable housing. We're going to enter a contract with them and let them know that if we ever decide to sell this, we've been here 160 years, but if we ever decide to sell the property, it will automatically be given to Family Promise or tenants to homeowners for them to purchase the property. And we will also enter into a lifetime, I think it was like 99 years or something like that, contract with them, so they know that they always have a place.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to our final presentation, the Prime Company. It's the Eastbrook Apartments project, new 30-year affordable housing, and this Chris Elsey?
That's right. Yep, got it.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Slideshow.
Oh, where's it at? Where can, there we go. Okay. So, present. Okay, and then do I need to share my screen too?
Yes, please.
Just blow that out with the green button at the bottom, or share.
Help me out here. Green button at the bottom. There we go. Okay. Yep, that's it. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, I'm the steward my name's Chris Elsey. I'm the steward or owner of the Prime Company. Our company motto is love thy neighbor, and our mission statement is to honor Jesus Christ through real estate. Those are some of the folks that I have the privilege of working with. We're a vertically integrated development company, so we've got our own 15-staff in-house architecture team, so we do all the architecture work. We also self-perform as our own general contractor, and we also have our own property management company. We're based over in Manhattan, Kansas, so you'll have to forgive me for that. I'm a Wildcat grad, but we do development in all 4 time zones. And those are some of the areas we're developing. Kind of another aspect of our management philosophy is we have resident life, which is similar. It's basically developed to help foster community amongst our residents. And I think through COVID, one of the things that we really picked up on is that people need to be in relationship with one another. And so you can kind of think of it as like a cruise director or an RA or a house mom or dad at a fraternity or sorority or like a senior center director. But basically, their sole focus is to help develop community amongst our residents. And we've found that when our residents have friends, they are a lot happier and desire to be there and tell other people about the community. And so these are some of the events that we have done with that. Kind of moving into the specific project, it's a 16-acre tract out there on 15th Street on East 15th. It is within the city limits. It's currently unimproved, It is within a qualified census tract, which is obviously very important for the affordable housing component. As you drive by it now, you'll probably maybe recognize it there. There's a like a lift station there from the street, but it's pretty heavily wooded on both sides there of kind of that central drainage basin. And so our proposal that we're focusing on is just going to be on the western portion of the property. We did conduct a neighborhood meeting here at the end of August, and some of the feedback we got from that was to increase the setbacks, decrease the density, and we had access from the south into the existing neighborhoods. And so I've kind of got a graphic there on the right-hand side there. So our original proposal, we had proposed 288 units. We reduced that to 192 units. We basically increased, we basically moved the structures that were kind of in this area adjacent to the single-family neighborhood to the south and to the west and took those out. And this is over like I believe it's like an 85-foot current buffer. And so our hope is there, I mean, it's currently pretty heavily wooded, is to just keep the existing tree stand basically around the property. We will be offering 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Here's our targeted rental rates. As far as project timeline, we would submit for application here, and then we're probably looking at around a 2-year construction time frame for the 120 or 192 units. And again, we would be self-performing that and acting as the general contractor on that. Total development cost would be around $55 million. Here's just some, we haven't settled quite yet on our design, I guess, inspiration, but here's, they're 3-story kind of walk up. We are going to have a community center that will have a pool, workout facility, and then like a business center for the residents. And yeah, I'm here to answer any other additional questions you would have.
All right, I'm going to open that up. Thank you, Chris. Open that up for questions. All right.
Okay.
Go.
And I know we sometimes dwell on this to the exclusion of all other important things, but how do your projected market or your projected rental rates relate to the AMI percentages?
We are at between 50 and 70% AMI. I believe I have 153 units at 80% AMI.
At what percentage? I'm sorry.
80% AMI.
Okay.
And then 38 units at 20% AMI.
So you have 153 at 80%?
And 38 at 20%.
And 38 at 20%. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
It's Mark Welk, also the Prime Company. I'm the Affordable Housing Director. We have basically it's a little different than that. It is 153 units at the 50% AMI level, and then 70%, or 38 units at the 70% level. So just kind of 80% of the units are at the 50% level, and then 20% of the units are at the 70% AMI level.
Throwing around a lot of percentages here, Chief. 153 at 50%?
50%.
Okay.
38 at 70%.
Okay,
AMI.
and 38.
So we kind of flip.
Mark, can you just repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll go through one more time. So 153 units at the 50% AMI level, and then 38 units at the 70% AMI level.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask another question.
Okay. Another question that I have is, where do you perceive, How do you perceive the external infrastructure on this development? I mean, looking at it from an engineering perspective, I mean, do you expect there to be a lot of additional external infrastructure required in order for this project to move forward?
Well, one of the good things is the city, we've actually had preliminary discussions with the city and gone through a pre-application meeting. And so the city's new facility management facility is going to be out basically just east of the property on 15th. And so we're able to kind of piggyback on some of those upgrades to 15th Street, and then as well as some of those site utilities. And so kind of pressing my memory here, but I believe the water line is getting upsized on that, and then also there will be right-of-way improvements on 15th Street going out to that city facility, and we will obviously help be a benefactor of that and potentially share in some of those development costs as well.
How about on the sewage side?
There is that lift station there that you actually see, and so the sewage capacity is, we've had preliminary discussions with the city engineer, and the sewage capacity is actually already in place and sufficient.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Looking online here. So you've heard probably all of us have this discussion about permanent affordability, 30-year LIHTC projects. Is there a mechanism by which this could become permanently affordable?
Mark, maybe you can comment on that, but I believe we were just planning on it being 30 years.
30 years is what the current underwriting supports. There's always new funding programs that become available later. Our intention is to keep it permanently affordable, but the flexibility allows us to kind of underwrite and kind of have a financially feasible project that we can get a tax credit investors who invest in.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any more? All right, well.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing us this project. All right. That concludes our presentations. I've got my agenda here. I'm not going to read you the upcoming events on the calendar, but they are on the calendar, on the agenda to help guide. We obviously have scoring to do and scoring to return, and that was in an email, a very nice email that Leah sent out to us. So if you have questions about when things are due or anything like that, I don't have any further comments.
Mr. Chair?
From the board have comment?
Yeah, Sarah Waters. Mr. Chair, I think you were going to also just talk about how next week's meeting structure is going to go when we come back to discuss in that special meeting, because no scores are due yet. And so we were going to give equal time, I believe, next week to go through each proposal.
Yeah, so just as, thank you for reminding me of that, Sarah. Next week, we basically have 2 hours to go over these same projects. So we're going to have kind of the same forced march, if you will, of about 15 minutes per project to talk these, or maybe 10 minutes per project, and then a wrap-up session. So we're going to be, there's just a lot to go through. So I encourage you to have your thoughts and comments collected so we can have kind of a concise discussion and your scoring done. Did that pick it up, Sarah?
Yeah, I think like what we'd like to, and just to be able to get any clarifications out there so that from a consistency standpoint, we know in the past, sometimes we all interpret things a little bit differently. So if you could try to do the work, and again, it takes a lot of time to just see what questions you have on the scoring matrix and things and ask them next week, then we'll all be hopefully setting our scores in with kind of same understanding moving forward. And so we know when we've had past conversations about scoring that there felt like people were coming at it from different directions. So the next Monday's meeting is about trying to get us all kind of at least in the same book, not in the same chapter, so that we can be a little bit more consistent as we understand some really incredible proposals here and what we're going to do, because this is going to be really, really challenging, I think, for all of us to ultimately make decisions. So
yeah,
I think Dana's got her hand up too, Monty.
Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, thank you. Just a clarification question, since Shannon and I have recused ourselves. There's been conversations about people recusing themselves but be available for these kinds of meetings, such as next week's, to offer any clarifications of what's going on in our community, not on any project in specific. So I'm not sure what the right thing to do is for Shannon and I, and really need some extra guidance on that, please.
Okay, I don't know that I have any guidance on that. We may have to ask the city's council on what's allowable and what's not.
Mr. Chairman, I think I want to ask the question, what's the safest place for them in this? Yeah, I'd love to be able to ask an expert, but the safest place for them might be silent. I don't know.
This is Leah Roslin, Affordable Housing Administrator. Since there's a conflict of interest with the applications, then you would need to recuse yourself from the conversation regarding the applications, including if that conversation goes to community need, since it's in the context of discussing the project applications and funding, that would also need to be a part of your recusal. So similar to today, you're certainly welcome to log in and mark yourself present for roll if you choose, and then log off and listen in for the rest of the meeting, but you'd need to recuse yourself from conversation.
So, Leah, would it be acceptable if someone has a question about, let's say, how many people are on my waiting list, or how many, or that type of thing? If we communicate that, like, if someone has that question, if we communicate it to you, cannot be about anybody's project or how many disabled people need, I mean, there are very specific things that I think would be wrong, but if you just need information, if you ask Leah and we could just give her the information, perhaps, that somebody wants before the meeting, so that we're not doing some weird participating in the middle of the meeting.
So at the beginning of this meeting, I said you could ask questions of, about the applications and whatnot until tomorrow. Maybe we need to extend that to maybe the Friday before our Monday meeting. So this Friday, so if you are going through your applications, you could submit a question to Leah, and then Leah can get the answer and distribute it to everyone. Does that make sense?
And
of the applicants?
Friday is the deadline for that?
Friday would be the deadline, since we're meeting the following Monday to have, really to formulate discussion and recommendations. So,
Mr. Chair, if the deadline is going to be extended until Friday, it would need to be Friday morning so that the applicants can have time to respond before the Monday meeting.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight timeline.
Yeah.
okay, Thursday midnight?
Perfect.
Okay. Thursday midnight. Have your questions to Leah, then she will have
Any
Friday
question
morning.
submitted at 11:59 Thursday should not be answered.
Let's not get into that voting.
She can answer it
People
Friday.
have problems.
That gives all day Friday, which is still tight, but at least a day.
Looks like Dana has her hand up.
Okay.
And there's a hand up.
Any other comments?
There's a hand up.
There's a hand up. Dana.
Just another clarification, and Mark, I appreciate you reframing that question. That's a good way to put it too. But my clarification back to us attending, and what Shannon recommended, if there was a question that is just common knowledge for somebody like Shannon or I that would help clarify something in discussion next week. Sarah and I have talked a couple times about some information from people that had been recused that is common knowledge that kind of led to what Sarah's question was about inconsistencies. So I would like to consider something like Shannon suggested where we are not allowed to comment, but if there's a question, we could somehow get that answer next week through Leah. But of course we can't comment on projects that we're involved with or anything like that. That completely makes 100% sense to me. But what doesn't make sense to me is the common understanding of communities, opportunities that exist right now, things that are ongoing. I don't want to lose that with an opportunity for this team to make consistent decisions on projects, especially the caliber of projects that are on the plate this year.
This is Leah Roseland, Affordable Housing Administrator. Dana, if there are specific data points that you think would be beneficial to give to the board and want to write those up, I'm happy to distribute those. And then I know that it's, it would weigh a lot on Erica, but she could also provide that perspective, as could Christina. So I would say that in that instance, we'll need to rely on colleagues to get that information in the meeting itself if new questions do come up.
All right. Any other questions, comments? With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really? You can submit your thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Can you submit
Take
your
care.
Still?
I think so.
30th?
Yeah, I think 30.
Oh, okay.
Are you saying you may not?
So
be
we
here
won't
next
make a decision. You just won't be here for the discussion.
Right, I just want to be there for next week.
And it's conceivable that I will not be here either.
Oh, no.
I may be able
Yeah.
to.
Is this next week?
Yeah, I may be able to listen.
I mean, I'm gonna do my best, but there are family priorities that may make it unavoidable.
Sorry.
So.